Всем доброе утро.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third Belarusian ICT Summit. The topic of today's discussion is a big one: modern technologies and technological trends. And I would like to give the floor for the welcoming speech to Minister of Communication and Informatization of the Republic of Belarus, Chair of the Forum Organizing Committee, Konstantin Shulgan. Good morning, distinguished colleagues. I'm very pleased to see you here. We had a more merry event yesterday. I guess those who participated in it enjoyed it. So since we're here again here, it's time for serious business. So the time is ripe. And I would like to give you, in a nutshell, a overview. So for several years, the country has been pursuing the policy aimed at effective informatization, transformation of all industry sectors, because all those processes cannot be stopped. Whether we want it or not, life makes us do it, and our task is to make it quick. Because I'm not going to reveal a secret here, those who are ahead will receive a fair share of the effect that the technologies bring. As for our country, and in view of today's event, I would like to say that undoubtedly this issue can be split into several parts. The part which is taken care of by the state, and not in terms of effective governance, but also in terms that all those processes and technologies can serve for the benefit of communication between the state and the society. Of course, it also relates to a very important aspect of this process: business. Economy is the cornerstone, as numerously mentioned by the President, and all present here, I guess, realize the importance of those words. There are a lot of examples of pursuing implementation of this policy and technologies across different ministries and agencies. I'm not going to dwell on specifically on any of them. I can say that there are large-scale extensive technologies like e-health, and I guess we should also mention here the term of e-government, although at the forums of our event other terms are mentioned like digital government, but I guess you can call a rose whatever name you want. It will smell as sweet, and it won't change the meaning behind those events. The digital transformation should be carried out in certain global areas. And in our settings, it is the development of the 5G mobile communication. You heard about it during our event. You saw the relevant stands. Yes, it is still future, but improvement and upgrading of technologies involves the duty to correctly implement them. When we're talking about mobile communication, we realize that instead of a phone attached with a cord to the wall, a device came which you could take along, and it was a technological replacement of one device for communication for a more convenient one. Now, the new mobile technology and devices are not simply devices. It's an instrument used in the real sector of economy. It allows using it in different sectors and production areas. And for it to become effective and to use it effectively, we have a philosophical question: how to do it properly. And we shouldn't make a mistake here, because whenever certain speakers say, undoubtedly, there is no a magic bullet or a panacea that can be given to the Belarusian business. So here we need to be able to collectively discuss those issues, hear each other, and understand the interest of us all, so that the way the smart architects do, we should take into account all those aspects and to produce the maximum effect from the implementation. Also another important area is the Internet of Things, which is based on 5G technology too, and this is not a narrow field either. We're talking about the production of those devices, things that are going to be used. It is also about the production of a wide range of devices that can be used both by human beings individually and that can be used in the production cycle, so that our production is less expensive and more efficient. Also, I would like to touch upon the following areas: big data, analysis and processing. Whether we want it or not, those processes are already ongoing. And as a regulator, the way I see my task is to make sure that those processes have their own rules, clear for all, and that can be used by all of us. I'm meaning the stakeholders who are affected by those rules, like mobile operators, state entities and authorities that have those big data. And I guess we have more questions here than answers, but I don't think we should be afraid of it. The draft law is being developed aimed to protect personal data. We have authorities that will take care of it, but without the participation of business in terms of the understanding what data flows are there, who needs them, in what form, what are going to be the methods in place between organizations, and what issues have to be regulated. So I'd like to also mention other aspects without which modern trends cannot simply exist. When we say that the economy is the cornerstone, and when we talk about the specifics of our country is a agricultural and industrial country. In my opinion, these are two trends that we need to take into account when we propose our technologies and introduce them into the real economy. And I would like also to share with you the impressions of our, let's say, foreign guests who emphasize the high level of education of our specialists, who are involved not only in the IT sphere, but also in the real sector of economy, in the production, in agriculture, and by generalizing it all and summarizing it all, I guess it will be right for me to say that we are on the verge of creating a digital country. This is not a slogan or a trend or something that is a remote future. The central stand of the Ministry of Communication and Informatization, you could see that they try to show the idea of traceability. Well, but I guess the traceability of goods and etc. does not reflect it fully. We're talking about the uniting or connecting the producer who produces the goods, marks it, labels it, hands it over to the logistics teams, then the goods go to the carriers, then to the end users, or is transported overseas. And this whole system, in my opinion, are connecting 90% of population and allows the controlling authorities not to visit physically the enterprise itself and do not interrupt the production process. They will simply have access to the system and can regulate and control the entire process remotely, which is very convenient for everyone. And this system, the elements of this system are already in place and are in operation. We just need to link them together, and our country will become a digital country where digital technologies will both help the producers and everyone else in the chain. up to the end user. And in order to cut it short, I would like to call upon you so that all those solutions that are presented at our exhibition would find their final real consumer, so that we transform our exhibition not only in our achievement, in the showing of our achievements, but into a platform where real consumer can find real solutions which can be adapted to his or her needs and tasks. And here, I would like to hear from you all those issues that we as regulators need to further elaborate and change the ways we communicate and make decisions, so that all those displayed technologies will eventually find their real consumer. Thank you for your attention, and I wish all of you good productive work and good interesting speeches. Of course, ICT today ensures transformation of various spheres of economy, and with this topic we'll listen to Hao Yufu, Director of Bell Huawei Technologies. Good morning, Konstantin Konstantinovich, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to speak before you. And I said, it is my second motherland, Belarus, where I spent a huge part of my career with Huawei, and I'm very pleased that I can share with you our vision of the future, where digital technologies will become available for everyone, where digital technologies will make our lives easier, convenient, and better. At the moment, ICT technologies such as artificial intellect, big data, 5G, Internet of Things, clouds, started influencing our lives greatly, and the number of consumers and hopes for the safer future. And according to our predictions provided in the Global Vision and Development of Industry 2025, in the personal and family lives, the number of personal intellectual smart terminals will total 40 billion in 2025. Globally, the number of companies using technologies based on artificial intellect will achieve 86%, while the level of utilization of big data will increase up to 180 to 80%. One of the main tasks of the company's management in future will be the use of those assets and the development of ER and EBR, and it will help us perceive what is beyond the tangible world. In 2025, the number of smart devices will achieve 4 billion, and the personal users of VR and AR will total 440 million people. The digital technologies are playing more and more key role, which ensure the economic growth, state safety and security, and global competitiveness of the country. We are very pleased to observe that Belarus is developing their digital economy and brings it to the national strategical level to implement that goal. The President of the Republic of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, signed the decree on the development of digital economy, aiming to attract technologies, means, and highly qualified human resources from the country, and to create favorable environment for them to conduct business and to attract them to Belarus. The President also mentioned about the creation of an effective mechanism to develop the future village, and using the ICT technologies to ensure the agricultural production and to improve the living conditions of rural populations. Along with that, the President also recently mentioned that ICT industry is being implemented into individual sectors, and in particular medicine, education and production, and is developing and penetrating all areas of life of community. And being as the leading supplier of ICT, we've been working for 18 years in Belarus, and together with the Belarusian operators we've set up a basic infrastructure for ICT and also laid the solid foundation for the development of digital economy. According to the MC report to 2017, Belarus ranked 32 in the global rating in the area of ICT development and is the leader among Eurasian countries. And in 2018, Belarus ranked 38th in the UN rating in terms of the e-government development, and compared to 2016, it rose by 11 positions. And here I would like to share with you an example how the ICT development in China facilitated the structural transformation of the economy. The development of the digital economy can yield benefit from the developed ICT infrastructure. In 2018, the State Council implemented the Internet strategy plan and converted into a state strategy to increase the Internet speed and to reduce the costs. And it urged the telecommunication companies to develop the plan for increasing the speed and reducing the costs, and to facilitate the increase of the wideband Internet speed by more than 40%, and to promote projects aimed on the wideband Internet in rural areas, and within the next 3 years to continue taking measures to increasing the speed and reducing the cost, and to ensure that the wideband Internet is going to become the main services, and people will be able to bear the costs related to using such Internet. And at the moment, the data shows us that the number of basic stations 4G is 4.4 million, while the number of people covered by 4G is 99%. The average 4G access speed is 30 megabit per second. The coverage ratio, the coverage with a fiber optic network, is 96%. The level of penetration of fixed wideband Internet is 70%. The Huawei company adheres to the concept of in Belarus for Belarus. For that, we are striving to bring the ICT development to the level of the national strategic development, and also the related Internet industries, and also to develop standards for the coverage with high-speed wideband network. Secondly, to facilitate across the board in the development of wideband network, to connect organizations, households and people who have not been yet connected, to increase the level of coverage with Wi-Fi, 4G Internet, and also to lay fiber optic cables to every house, every educational institution, hospital and enterprise, which will facilitate the development of that sector. Thirdly, together together create an ecosystem and to open Huawei laboratory. We can also provide Belarusian partners with the platform to test their solutions. Therefore, we hope to ensure even higher level quality of services for corporate users and to ensure a win-win cooperation. Fourthly, to follow the path of digital transformation of industry, we need to fully use the ICT technologies to stimulate other sectors and to promote the innovations in order to increase the efficiency. In conclusion, I would like to say that Huawei, as the leading supplier of ICT solutions, opens digital technologies for every human being, household, and organization in order to create a fully intellectual and smart Belarus. Thank you.
Solutions of MTS company, decisions of MTS on the way to digital transformation. Vladimir Karpovich, CEO of the Mobile Telesystems company, will speak about this. Good morning, dear participants of ICT Summit. In my presentation, I would like to share with you our experience, which aims to, I believe, to achievement of the common goal, digital transformation, both for the benefit of the business and economy. Previously, we said that MTS and MTS group of companies adopted a strategy which is to facilitate the creation of the infrastructure which ensure enabling conditions both for the business and the consumers to achieve this goal. The infrastructure covers the relevant network of data transmission, fixed and mobile networks, the infrastructure of cloud estimations and calculations, and we believe that it is important to develop platform solutions, digital solutions, which are highly demanded. And we find it important to run these initiatives and see them supported by our consumers. In terms of the infrastructure, MTS is known to ensure relevant coverage of the territories and provision of the relevant outdated technologies, but the results in 2018, we shall have one step ahead, providing to the consumers new solutions, the LTE technology, for example. We build and create in cooperation with our B-Cloud, our infrastructure partner. We create this proposition to our clients, and for 2018 our plan is to double the solution which is operational and functional today and improve the relevant quality of coverage of the territories. Here I would like to note that the development of the infrastructure directly affects and impacts the digital behavior of subscribers and users. In particular, if you look at the statistics for 2016 and compare it with the current status quo, the data use growth increased by 350 times. This is a substantial increase, whereas the voice services are developing, but only there is a 5% growth, which is not very radical. Meanwhile, the traffic generated by the subscribers through the LTE technology already surpass the traffic of users of 3G. The number of these users and subscribers is continuously increasing. In early 2018, we announced 1 million subscribers using LTE technology, whereas At the end of this year, we expect 2.5 million of such users. And what are the reasons? This is reasoned by the change of the terminal equipment and the penetration of the LTE smartphones. It is increasing. And early 2018, for example, the share of LTE smartphones was 57%, whereas at the end of the same year, 2018, it was 75%. And accordingly, we see that at the end of this year, this percentage may be almost 90%. MTS is working hard and building the infrastructure in line with the expectations and the demands of its subscribers and users. What happens in practice? We observe the evolution of the high-tech technologies and the degradation of the previous generation technologies. 2G traffic is reducing, and we anticipate that in the next 2 years, the users and subscribers that use 2G standard will almost disappear. And the decision about the elimination of 2G technology will be taken by the regulator. What are the prospects? It's clear, and the professional community is thinking about a new wave of technological development. Here I refer to 5G technology, which is at Barcelona exhibition was very confident to demonstrate its readiness for deployment. And according to the studies of the analysts, we see that 95% of IT directors of large and medium-sized IT companies view the prospects, consider the prospects of the deployment of 5G-based technologies, and 73% agree that these solutions will play a revolutionary role for business development and the Internet of Things in particular. MTS also demonstrates and shows its interest and readiness for this development, for the development of this technology in Belarus. And it's obvious that the decision must be taken by the regulator. At present, there is a task force functional on this issue, and we are impatient to get the positive decision taken, which will empower companies to work independently and develop this technology. The approaches are radically different from 4G technology. They require more efforts, and the preliminary preparation of the network for the deployment of this technology. The development of the infrastructure impacts the formation of the digital environment, digital habits of the users and businesses, and also lead and provokes the demand for these services. We see that our expenditures on the advertising and promotion through the internet are quite comparable, and it means that our clients today are already on the internet, and we actually more incentivized to develop in this regard. The internet environment, business, commerce, health, education, service sector also become digital. And I would like to say a few words about a different dimension, that is the Internet of Things, the infrastructure of the mobile operators. And the implementation of this technology is quite effective and cost-efficient, since this technology is based on the already built infrastructure in our country. We had the relevant decisions taken by the State Committee on the radio frequencies, and the operators are mandated and empowered to create and build this infrastructure and provide these services. But I would like to say that the previous year, last year, was characterized by the active work with our clients. First of all, I would like to note that we have shaped very productive relations with the Belarusian industry, with the vendors and solution developers related to the measuring equipment, terminal equipment, and we have entered into about 23 agreements in this regard, and also started the test zones for our business users to demonstrate to them the effectiveness of this technology and help them realize the benefits of these technologies. In particular, I would like to pay your attention to our project with Minsk Oblast Gas. We launched the test zone in Radashkovich, Vileika, Narchi, Logoysk with Vodokanal in Minsk. And thanks to these technologies, users started in a convenient way pay for the services of water supply without the need to read these metering themselves, but the supplying organizations also managed to find additional resources and get some savings to invest into the development of their businesses. The effect is visible, but now we are looking forward to the final decision to be taken to replicate these technologies and scale them up. I would like to share our experience in the farming sector, the monitoring on the status of the cattle. This project was implemented in Agro Farm Ždanovici. It was 100% effective and efficient under this project, which actually aimed to increase the amounts of milk generated and improve the health of the animals. And the relevant tools were provided to the farmers, and the outcome, as I told you already, was 100% efficient and effective. A new project which is in the area of utilities sector, and it aims to improve the solid waste management systems. Today in Minsk, at 5 sites, this project is being implemented. We pilot it in cooperation with the organizations and identify business models for the deployment of such solutions. So we identify the sites, the dots, or those areas which will improve the efficiency and performance of such organizations. I would like to appeal to the audience saying that the Internet of Things is a large-scale dimension, and the area where the process may develop is not complete, and with those projects I have mentioned today. Therefore, I encourage vendors, organizers to build dialogue with us, to build these solutions together. MTS will provide open interfaces and the relevant traffic solutions. And once again, I would like to note that MBIT technology is highly demanded in other countries of the globe, which evidences that there is a trend for the future prospect and for the future growth. The cloud products, cloud solutions we propose, they today cover such utilities as resources, the volume of the memory, the network infrastructure, security. So these are those pillars covered. We have some successes in a number of industries and sectors. In the petroleum sector, banking sector, education, IT. But here I would like to share some and highlight some of the fields, eventer, IT small company, a small business which lacks substantial resources to form and create its own products, but it gets these opportunities from MTS. It gets the required configuration for the time required and needed, and in the result, this company can achieve its business goals and minimize the costs of the product creation. The second example is a store chain mile. The infrastructure is diverse. It is not one store, one shop. This is a chain of stores. This store transformed its 1C program into the cloud, and by this, through the limited time, it managed to achieve its business goal. When we are referring to the cloud today, an important element is the traffic solution, and the integration of the infrastructure and traffic and cloud infrastructure is the benefit which today MTS company offers. In particular, for Belarusian market, we have an innovative solution, SD1 technology, a software which programs the formation of the channels for rental, and the networks, and this solution enables the users to operate not only the MTS on the MTS infrastructure, but the infrastructure of all the other operators in the country, and through this businesses can optimize their costs and improve their performance. The next area of our operations as identification of the users. In general, the digital universe has its rules. Users like comfort and convenience of the use of different services, and the internet is not an exception here. Today, being on the internet, it is related and connected with the identification system. There are a lot of different logins, passwords. The problem can be, the challenge can be addressed, and for this we offer a new solution, Mobile Connect, the technology which itself was developed by GSM Association at the Barcelona exhibition. Three mobile network operators from Belarus, Live, MTS and Volkov signed an agreement, and this technology by the end of this year will be commercially available. What benefits does it provide? It provides to identify and authorize subscribers on different platforms through the mobile telephone number. The registration is very fast and easy, and there is no need to memorize this set of login and password. And then it's also important that this technology offers full security of the personal data. And in addition, I would like to say that we have a positive development of the digital signature technology, MTS ID. We have new services available on the state portal of e-services, namely the execution of the electronic tax declaration, submission of the relevant information to the Social Protection Fund. And we see that this technology will be highly demanded in case of legally significant actions and acts taken by individuals and legal entities. The company was active, and for this ICT forum, at this ICT forum, we offer new fintech technologies and solutions. Over the last year, there was a radical change. Banks and operators came to an agreement and understanding, and two products which today are announced. They are MTS card. This is a plastic card which is attached to the smartphone number, and it is administered through the phone number balance, you can withdraw cash, transfer money, acquire online loans and credits, and this card will also have a cashback service. This is quite convenient and easy for the users, and this project is implemented in cooperation with the Dobrobit Bank. Yesterday we also announced a new product, MTS Money, in cooperation with Belweb Bank, and it offers a very fast online crediting.
More than 10 million owners of Master and Visa card can take loans in 1 minute after entering their registration data. The model, as we see it, is quite in demand because there is a certain period when the fee is not levied from the subscriber and you can redeem the debt or pay back the debt prematurely. So the new thing that we came up with is Smart University. So the MTS group of companies is transforming in the area of creating solutions. And in particular, our Russian company came up with this new product, Smart University. We're talking about English language courses. Belarusian journalists took the courses and we saw positive feedback. Yet the platform will still be further elaborated and we're going to position it as an outsourcing solution for educational institutions and individual teachers. In terms of the service provision, what benefit it gives to the teachers? It first of all gives you access to client, to consumer, and enables you to address all relevant issues, including payment for services. At the moment, the customer base of MTS is 5.5 million subscribers. We're also working in the area of health. We've announced a product last year. The work is built on consolidation of integration of that system into the general system in Belarus, which is constantly developed. And in conclusion, I would like to mention an important area. It's our activities in the area of corporate and social responsibility. The activities are aimed to take care of people. We meet the global agreement principles. We striving to achieve sustainable development goals, and first of all we develop products for certain social groups of population which require such support. Among interesting projects of recent, I would like to point out our cooperation with the Ministry of Education and UNICEF related to education of kids and identifying issues related to cyberbullying, etiquette or morals, and an exhibition was held in Minsk. 4,500 kids were involved. Now the exhibition is being held in Gomel. What we can observe, the issue is there. The issue of cyberbullying is there. 36% of people faced cyberbullying, and only half of those children reported this problem to their parents. Therefore, we intend to continue working with UNICEF on improving the relations in that area. In particular, we're going to collect money, to raise money, to do the fundraising in order with the participation of UNICEF, and we're going to send that money to address the issue of improving the environment for children. In conclusion, I would like to point out that the pace of development of digital products will obviously increase. And once again, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that MTS considers itself a partner for business in Belarus in the development of those products and invites you to cooperation. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next topic is the architecture of eco-structure, how to raise business competitiveness in the digital era. I'm giving the floor to Yulia Lakhmotkina, Director of Schneider Electric Bell, LLC. Good morning, dear colleagues. I guess digitalization, which is in our ears, in our eyes, and it has been mentioned several times during this event. I totally agree with the previous speaker when he said that the development of the digital environment affects the behavior of subscribers. We can see it every day. I personally feel it with my child. When we go on vacation, whether it is crocodiles, elephants, or springs, what kids ask about? What is the Wi-Fi password? We're not talking, he's not asking whether there is Wi-Fi, he's asking what is the password to Wi-Fi. So we saw the increased pace of development of our economy, and it is becoming a truly digital economy thanks to the key events in the clouds, artificial intelligence, and it changed our life greatly. And for young generation, the access to digital technologies is the foundation of their life. And the digitalization is one of the mega trends that we need to take into account. Our future is formed under the influence of mega trends. We are living in very interesting times, and I guess the pace of changes has reached its peak, at least the way we see it. And this pace is driven by mega trends, urbanization, industrialization, and digitalization. Just think about it. In 30 years, the urban population will increase by 2.5 billion people. It means that every year there will be more than 40 cities like Minsk. And naturally, to support that migration to cities, we need energy. The demand for energy is going to increase drastically on the one hand. On the other hand, we know that still on our planet, more than 1.5 billion people don't have access to stable electric power. And Schneider Electric thinks that access to electric power is a basic need of human being. Therefore, we develop new technologies and we work on the energy efficiency, and together we can solve this paradox. Connected devices. Well, we already mentioned that technological revolution transforms our life. And this happens at a very amazing speed. And recently, digital technologies changed our business environment unrecognizably. Think about it, as the previous speaker said, only in the next year, tomorrow practically, there will be 10 times more connected and interconnected things than human beings, than 10 times more than we. Machines will be connected to other machines. Why is it so important for us? The prosperity in digital economy is based on the capability to promote today's environment of digital innovations, including the next wave of the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence and machine learning. As an innovation leader and developers of technologies that are going to feed that economy, we are playing an important role in the correct transformation of digital data by providing technological experience, which based design and nature solves specific problems of consumers and our clients. So what is important? We are using in our work dynamic ecosystem, and that dynamic ecosystem accelerates digital technologies. To put it rightly, we're using this ecosystem for the ideas that inspire and accelerate digital transformations. Schneider Electric used that dynamic system, and this is a real value that we see in the Internet of Things. What this ecosystem gives us and what the development of the Internet of Systems gives us: operational efficiency and sustainability. And those benefits go beyond the framework of the technology. If you take a look at our dynamic ecosystem, you'll see that the clients are an integral part of that system, and the process of our ideas start from solving a specific client's problem. It's difficult to say that a client comes to us and says, we'd like to implement the Internet of Things. People come to us with specific problems and tasks. Our ecosystem-based approach allows us, on the one hand, to fastly scale up the innovations in accordance with the needs of the clients on the final markets. On the other hand, in the ecosystems includes not only our international relations with our global R&D institutes, but students and startups. Indeed, startups have things to teach us. Well, recently a lot of startups became billionaires over a very short period of time, although a lot of startups disappeared from our radar. But there are things that we can learn from them and use in our ecosystems. In the form of ideas, we provide developers with more opportunities. Together with our partners, suppliers and clients, we achieve more as the ecosystem grows. Our ecosystem is a dynamic, open system. It takes the best from inside and from the outside. So what we see today, we see that what happens in the world. We see that on the one hand, the Internet of Things develops at a speed of a light, and we get more and more data. On the other hand, IT is not used for specific IT-related tasks. We're talking about that IT is used for operational technologies, for life, for business, simply put it. And those two aspects is the basis of our eco-structure, our platform of our eco-structure. Interesting data is about the unfulfilled capacity in different sectors. Take a look at the last column. It shows us that in buildings we can increase the efficiency practically 5 times. What we use now, what we compare it to what can be used, is we use it only at 20% capacity. There is huge potential here. In Schneider Electric, we see our mission in helping our clients make the world more environmental friendly and to reduce the cost of our clients. And using EcoStructure, we are working with untapped potential in different sectors. This is our response to the challenges brought by digital transformation. If we take a look at our platform, EcoStructure platform, we have knowledge and experience on 4 types of tasks that we are able to solve. Smart buildings, in order to address such tasks in clinics, offices, the data processing center, industrial plants, weightlifting cranes, huge factories, and networks within the region or entire country. 4 specialization, 4 types of tasks. And for each type of task, we have developed we have already developed, we don't need to develop again. We have developed more than 30 advisors. Advisors are counselors, smart counselors, who represent a specialized tool for the specific roles. And to work, and for those smart advisors to be able to work, we use the medium level of our platform as a data suppliers. And the basis for this is the equipment. Well, digital equipment, smart equipment, and connected equipment. If we take a look at our system, maybe I told you from top to bottom, let's look at it at bottom to top. It's connected devices, smart devices that can be connected, devices that can transfer data. Then our administration or management, we're talking about the hubs where those data are collected, and then devices that we can analyze and talk to us when the predictive analysis is taking place. And I wouldn't be totally honest if I didn't tell you such an important thing as cybersecurity, because many people, when they say digitalization, they forget about mentioning cybersecurity. In our company, we focus on cyber security, and depending on the task, we use different solutions in order to ensure cybersecurity. It is ensured both at the level of individual connected code and within the transfer of data between the modules in the system, the entire system. So why our clients use the EcoStructure solutions? Because this solution is used not only globally, but also in the CIS space area and by companies here in Belarus to increase the reliability of services, to increase the launch of new services, to increase the efficiency, to reduce costs, and to increase the profits and profitability. And every client has its own task. Most often financial and public sector clients focus on increasing the reliability of services. Telecom, for example, mainly focuses on increasing the speed with which the services are launched to differentiate their business, and we're working on making our clients' business, when working with their clients, becomes more successful, because our success is the success of our clients. What else should I mention here? On the one hand, we're all mentioning digitalization. We mention such words as platforms, different tools developed by different companies. But the thing is, it is not the technologies that are the drivers of digitalization. In my opinion, the strategy manages the digital transformation, governs the menu. I don't need saying that we're living in a digital world and we need to keep pace with the time, even be ahead of the times. And in order to, if you take a look at the research conducted by a very respectable agency, you'll see that the managers are not very much willing to do it. We are not always ready for it. Let's take a look at the columns here, and if you read the text, you'll see that when answering to the question what difficulties employees face when introducing digital transformation, implementing digital transformation, they say that they have a lot of other priorities. There is no strategy, there is no technical skills, etc. Those are issues that are not issues related to tech. That should be addressed by the technical specialist or ordinary employees. These are the issues to be addressed by us, by managers, and only those companies that focus on the digitalization and reflect the trends in economy and business can be really competitive. We, Shrine Electric, developed our platform, EcoStructure. It is dynamic, open, safe, and secure, and innovative, in our opinion. We are ready to help you, our clients, to increase your competitiveness by introducing digital technologies. My team and I are ready to take your questions during the break, and we'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Управлении инфраструктурными объектами как частью решений умного города расскажет Владимир Витер, заместитель директора по науке.
Managing of infrastructure as part of the smart city solution. This is a presentation to be made by Vladimir Viter, Deputy Director for Science, Newland LLC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As a start, the British scientists recently came to one discovery, that winter, indeed, and the first snow in particular, always come unexpectedly. And I continue. On a regular basis, when I speak at different fora, we are very brave and confident to use the term smart city. It seems that everything is fine. Smart, a smart smitty. But the brains started being curious what a smart city is, and it turned out that Wikipedia defines it as a concept of integration of several digital technologies and the Internet of Things. And my next question is what Internet of Things is. And Internet of Things is defined as another concept, a network of the connected facilities, sites, a set of networks, and as a technology or as the conducers and the wires. And this is all about the Internet of Things. The most advanced definition is as follows. The Internet of Things is a system of the combined computer systems connected to the physical infrastructure facilities with the employed sensors and detectors, with the use of the remote control, monitoring and automatic administration without humans being involved. It seems quite clear, but at the same time the author provides the term of the industrial Internet of Things. And instead of the physical facility, there is an industrial facility introduced. And then it is totally unclear how thin can be associated with the industrial facility. No way. And backed by these definitions, there is a statement totally different in each nature, that there is no Internet of Thing and such thing does not exist, but this industrial Internet of Thing hides the service platform path with the access to cloud technologies through the Internet connection. So more or less it seems like this, but the last statement, you understand, can leave because you remember that the Internet is simply a system of networks for the data exchange, and it is based on three pillars: the system of routing, the language of the hypertexts, and the protocols, and nothing else. These protocols know nothing about the industry, about the things, and industries know nothing about HTTP. And then the question rises. The term, the Internet of Things, was introduced 20 years ago in the last century, and we cannot say what the IoT. And then there is a question that we have some problems with our standards. In 1991, when for the first time the Internet of Things was mentioned, and in 2014 there was a consortium of industrial internet established, and the organizers or the founders include Cisco and TNT, IBM, and their main goal was to create the standardized architectures and exchange algorithm between the technological and computer processes. How we proceeded in standardization process. In 2015, the International Telecommunications Union established the Commission, MST, to address IoT and its apps, including smart cities and communities. So you see, there is another aspect, not a smart city as IoT, but a smart city is an element of the IoT. And to standardize different methods of compatibility, so they also address it. In 2017, the EU Agency on Information Security published the recommendations on the Internet security, on the security of the IoT in the context of the critical infrastructure facilities. In 2018, the ISO published the guidelines for the vendors of the equipment for the testing of facilities for the information security aspects and the IoT. There are a number of other standards, and that is all. Meaning that as of today, there are no standards for the IoT. There is no relevant definition, no standards. How shall we live further? The basis should be the concept developed when the consortium of the industrial internet was established, saying that people shall have the possibility to remotely control any facility in any time and in any place. For what reason? Briefly, to optimize the costs and expenditures at any cycle of the life of the product. This is the basic idea, original idea, which through the evolution disappeared somewhere. And even the notion of the Internet of Things emerged at the moment when the technology of the digital identification emerged, which was initially intended for tracing the goods. And what is happening in particular and happened, there was a dimension of digital technologies, there was another area of operational technologies, And now all these scenes are combined. And from what I said and from our experience, there is a structure of the IoT. Sensors, some channels of communication, some processing equipment, some channels of communication of different level, clouds, and big data. Meaning that the IoT exists, but it does not exist at the same time. And it implies that we shall be very critical in addressing any forecasts and predictions, and I will explain what I mean. This is the background of my company, how nice we are, where we participate, and this is one of the scheme of the IoT evolution from one of the publications. And then there is a question how this evolution is different from the computers. Actually, it differs nothing. There is no difference. There was a computer, then there was a network, then there was a set of networks. Let's explore further the technology of communication. Does it say something new? Quite probably not. Over the last time, we hear NB IoT, Gora IoT, but actually we had it previously. Then we see open standards, and all these acronyms will on the internet show you the particulars of the standards, and finally the scheme of the IoT. Quite small circles, and there may be many of them, much more than you see here, including health, education, public safety and security, everything actually. And there is a dot and a comma, and we are moving forward to a smart city, and the situation with the smart city is even worse. There is no clear understanding what a smart city is, by the way. So there was an attempt to describe a smart system, a smart city, through the systems which support its intelligence. This is a list of these systems from two sources. Every system is must to have, but if you see that the correlation is minimum, so two smart cities with multi-sum systems, and are these systems enough for the city to become smart? And when a serious McKinsey agency say that by 2020 there will be 600 smart cities available, there is a question due to which criteria. Now Copenhagen, Moscow, Zurich, St. Petersburg and Singapore are included into the list of these smart cities. There is the city of Moscow, and I like it, but how can we call a city a smart city when there are 80 score traffic jams? This is not a city for life. What is happening now? We have the life under the condition of the announcements that the standards are not available, but you must survive somehow. And we are surviving, we have been surviving and will survive in the future. But why we did this? The history of the IoT, as it is described in the Western sources, started in the 1990s, when one practitioner opened its kettle remotely, and in 1999 there was a term of the IoT. By 2000, the Internet of Things got some weight because the number of connected things outcame the number of the population globally. And actually the speaker before me also shared the vision for the future. But the IoT, a simple example from a different sector, some satellite complexes which are used by the army and was deployed in the 1980s. There are detectors, sensors, the system of the decision making, and the red control button. The complex already then could operate automatically without humans being involved. We had these things, and in this context the life continues. A new land company actively participates in the process. So these are the forecasts, and it proves that we need to be critical about any publications. For example, by 2020, the market of the IoT will be 110 billions. The next source of information is serious one. Transport is 250 billion US dollars. If you sum everything up, it will be even more. In the left corner, the number of the connected things or devices, 200 billions, whereas according to the other data, by that time, this number will surpass the number of the population. And this slide is about the way we live with the IoT today, and slide does not open. Newland company designed the system which includes a controller, which receives the signals from different sensors. It can function automatically by receiving signals from different sensors, and through any channels of communication can submit it to the central module. And the configuration of this design is various because the sensor may be in the entrance or in the secured facility. The sensors may be different, but the idea is the same. And we are moving to standardization, that those sensors manufactured, they would be standardized. This slide is open, but it is not complete. And this controller in particular monitors the quality of electricity and power. And in case there is no power, it connects to a different network or monitors the security of some significant facilities, some sensors at the generator site, or they can monitor and control the fuel in the tank, the status of the battery, and they can meter the power, or they can be connected to some alarm and firefighting systems, meaning that this device can receive and can monitor different facilities, including mobile ones, and the mobile chassis. So there are such equipment available, and this is the scheme or the layout. It is much more complicated from all the angles in terms of the weight and the resistance to the external factors, but the idea is the same. The functions it performs are the same and similar. Another peculiarity or feature of this device is that it is connected to the central base dashboard. All the data can be transferred to one dashboard where they are processed, where it is processed or can be processed, or the operator is sitting and monitors the data received and makes some conclusions, or there could be an analytical system functional. The system itself can make the decision. This controller may be attached and supplemented with the video cameras, and you know that there are some sensors attached and supplemented with the video cameras to detect any movements. This video camera monitors the audience, and there is the information that, for example, no thing can be stationed unmovable, or otherwise the operator will receive some signal, or the opposite task may be solved if this is a restricted area and there is some movement. Again, the signal will be received. The functions are very broad and varied, and all this is transmitted to the central module, which is today have the following design. The operator may select what it wants, then in the table the identifiers of the facilities, the types of the accidents, with the algorithm of all the actions to be taken. And this is the mapping. Well, in conclusion, I would like to say the following. If I try to summarize all the materials, and actually there are multi-sum of them on the OIT, actually I must state that we've been living in the IoT for many years, and our company actively participates in this process and is ready to engage and will continue to engage, and I encourage you to cooperate with us. And in the end, a pleasant piece of news from standardization. In 2015, in Russia, there was NAPI established, the National Association of the Industrial Internet. In 2017, this association signed an agreement with the concern of the industrial Internet on cooperation and interaction, whereas in 2018, at the end of that year, there was a milestone event. It is described here. It was the first time ever when not the national standard was harmonized with the international one, but when the international standard will be harmonized with the national standard. And by the way, a similar association is not present in Belarus, and this association is initiated by Rostelecom, a Russian company, and it acted the main initiator. And we also think that it will be useful for us to get some partnership, because the process of standardization has already been launched, and it would be nice to engage in it, because it seems that Internet of Things will be forever. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. And now, a few words about the healthcare in the smart city, practices of introducing e-medicine in Greece. Alexei Shashkov, the Deputy CEO of Intracom Связь LLC, Russia. Good afternoon. I do welcome all of you. Unfortunately, the presentation should have been done by our CEO, but due to some causes, he failed to come. Yesterday evening, it turned out that there were some organizational hiccups, and therefore I will speak today. My speech is about Greece, our experience of implementing e-health in Greece. I would like to start from well-known things. You know that everything can be found in Greece, but apart from this, Greece is a very hospitable and friendly country, ready to share everything it has with the world, with us, share its technologies, and many other things as well. A few words about the history, some history background. Which elements we know related to Greece? First of all, medicine, Greek medicine, because Greece is the birthplace of medicine. We know such celebrities as Hippocrates, Aesculapius, and this is a symbol of the medicine. There is a snake. The first drugs were made from the poison of snakes, and this is a global medicine symbol, and it originates from Greece. There are some other terms and terminology originating from Greece, many words inherited from Greece, not in our countries, but worldwide. This is some history background. Now, let's move on to smart city. Since a smart city is a large and contemporary trend, we shall not forget that medicine and healthcare is one of the important components of the smart city. And it is the cornerstone or the backbone of the smart city. The main elements of the ICT technologies include the following. They are cloud calculations, big data analytics, many people talked about this and will speak about this. Artificial intelligence, IoT, mobile speedy networks, smartphones, naturally, and smart devices. With regard to healthcare and ICT technologies in healthcare, this ecosystem includes the common information system, HIS, the centralized national healthcare, telemedicine, which is another integral part, and obviously the mobile apps used by people. Coming back to Greece, the evolution, like in many other countries, sometimes was fast or slower, but the evolution went from the traditional practices when ICT was not used or was used very rarely. You remember the office of a health practitioner. There was a computer, and actually the doctors didn't use these computers, and they kept records manually.
So the evolution goes until 2006, when there is a significant rise, and the information technologies take a very serious place in medicine, and we switch on to smart health, where infocommunications become an integral part of it. And we now talk about generalized databases or aggregate databases, accessibility, and etc. Well, generally, if we speak about Greece, it is very similar to Belarus in terms of its population. It's around 11 million people. The total number of hospitals is 287 equipped hospitals. We're talking about equipped with 48,000 beds. The average number of patients served is 1.5 million. What are the main projects and initiatives are in the area of health in Greece? Well, the information system of hospitals, HIS, e-prescription, and personal health record is the main components of health. As for the infocommunication system of hospitals, I can say the following. The public hospitals started being equipped starting from 2000, and the infocommunication networks were used to cover some administrative needs, like the resources of the entity, procurement, what should be purchased for accounting purposes, and the accounting of patients, keeping records of patients, how many patients were admitted, what illness they had, etc. The systems were localized in every hospital. They had a resource, a database used by that hospital, and private hospitals used their own personal developments. That's the way it was in 2000s. E-prescription in Greece was first introduced in 2010, and it received wide use or distribution right away. Almost 80% of hospitals switched to e-prescription. Now around 5 million prescriptions are made per month. You can see the number of users connected to the systems, doctors, apothecaries, and pharmacies and nurses. They have their own personal login and password and the respective level of access to the health system. 22,000 prescriptions are made every day using the e-prescription system. Personal medical or health record, a very important part of any electronic health system. It contains all the information about the patient. It's there to stay. It's permanent storage. It is protected using different international standards, because we are dealing with personal data here. The medical record is created by the family doctor, or as we call it, general practitioner. Well, Greeks call it family doctor. If the patient comes to a doctor, the doctor creates this medical record, the way it is done in Belarus. The coverage area with e-health system looks like that. The main map and the island map and the continental part. So you can see almost all areas are covered. There are some difficulties with islands because Greece is an island state. So e-health is a very good solution because it is very difficult to provide remote services because a lot of places are located far away, and there are times when helicopters have to be called in. So electronic records is a very important component. The island-based station looks like this. It's a small or isolated room office. It is a standard office, not a space station equipped with main equipment. As for the structure of the medical office, this is the way it looks like in a schematic form. On top, you can see the doctor's office, according to its specialty, providing high-quality service. And on the bottom, you can see that island office or island-based office. The main components are the working stations through which telemetry goes. There is a huge monitor where the communication doctor to doctor, doctor to patient takes place, or doctor patient altogether. And in the remote account or remote offices, there is different telemedical tools are there, because without them medicine cannot work. We're talking about tools and devices, and there are many of them. In Belarus, a lot of such devices are produced, and now all that data is transferred through the common network. It's a fixed communication operator, like Beltelecom, and it is all stored in cloud, in the data processing center, in the bottom of the slide. There are other initiatives implemented in the area of e-health. The Ministry of Justice. The inmates are also people. They need medical health services. And now a pilot project is being implemented to cover e-health for prisons with e-health system. And the project aims to cover 30 prisons with e-health services. Within the next 2 years, there is also a National Center for Preventive Measures and Crisis Management. There are a number of systems there. One system in the Ministry of Health, 7 systems in each municipal center of health, and 20 systems in each specialized hospital. The next initiative is the Pax Systems. It's a picture archiving and communication system. It's a medical term. The system allows to store data in the cloud and to provide access to those data from any point to any doctor who has the right to access that information. The system is protected, and it allows to store the data in a unified format, and it facilitates the work of medical personnel. As for Pax, traditionally Pax exists in all hospitals, but in the form of local presence. Every hospital has its own data center where data is stored. The data comes from different offices, as you can see, and then it goes to some common center. This is not very convenient. Well, this is totally inconvenient. Pax should, of course, be in the cloud and should be offered as a service. That's what happens in the world, and in Greece in particular. All data are collected in one data processing center. That center stores the data, and then it becomes available to people who intend to use those data. So doctors are not tied to their locations. They are not have geographical or any other link or ties. The doctor can receive patients, can upload, download data, can remotely receive patients, or can do it in his office, or even when he's on vacation. Well, this is it from me. I invite you all to our small stand organized at the Newland Company stand. We display a number of serious, interesting platforms in the area of ICT. It's the e-health platform. It was launched in live mode, so we have a direct link to the Foreign Medical Center. We have also a platform of a smart city on our platform and the virtual Wi-Fi platform. So you are more than welcome, and I'll be very pleased to see you all. Thank you. So the next topic is about the smart enterprises value in smart ERP solutions. And we'll hear to listen to the IT director of Schneider Group, Russia, Lyubomir Karachov. So, good afternoon, dear experts. Good afternoon, Mr. Shulgan. I would like to express my gratitude to you, to the organizers, this important event, this important summit, for the opportunity to speak here and to tell you what ERP is. ERP is, in essence, the economic heart of a company. ERP is an outdated term. It's enterprise resource planning, and at the moment ERP is a system that manages all the resources of a company, and not only. What we see here today is where ERP is going, what are the tasks that are addressed by ERPs in businesses. First of all, ERP systems today are implemented everywhere in the operative business. I'll show you later on a small example what it means. ERP, you cannot even think about managing an enterprise without ERP. In medium and large companies, that was a well-known fact. But even for small businesses, ERP is becoming a more and more important component for management. Moreover, the more the state participates, the more involved the state is in the business. And we heard today that the state not only standardizes, but also centralizes some kind of control and ensures traceability of business. The more ERP systems become important for the companies developing that business, because all the information needed by the state or states is stored in those ERP systems of the companies. And it has already been mentioned several times that business, I'm not talking about some legal entity, we're talking about people, and business participate either as clients or corporate employees or members of companies. And for them, communication is also important, and communication channels for them are important to communicate with business. So let's start from the basics. The most important things, it's where ERP comes from. It was basically about managing industrial enterprises, automation of some processes. So what is new today? In this diagram you can see somewhere in the center this ring, and it says EDI. EDI is some kind of a cloud through which ERP systems of different companies communicate among each other. And this communication today is so automated that in the global order procurement chain, the human being is becomes less and less involved. So you can see we're talking about a large truck producer which requires spare parts, and the order or the search for those spare parts is automatically placed through the ERP system into this EDI cloud. It is automatically sent out to all players involved or connected to this cloud. And if we have a company which somewhere there in the right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner, that produces the required spare parts, then naturally this company accepts the request, and inside this ERP there is a system that checks whether they have those spare parts in their warehouse, and if they are in stock, then a reply is automatically sent with no human involvement. A confirmation is sent that the company is able to supply those spare parts with a specified deadline. If those spare parts are not in stock, then the next step is to check whether those spare parts can be planned for production, for the next production plan, within the next production plan. If it's possible, then the production plan is modified, and this order is introduced into this production plan, and then the confirmation is again sent to the truck producer, and a transaction is executed. If the production plan cannot accept that order because some components are missing for the production, then the same chain is being set up between the producer of the spare parts producer, who sends a relevant order to the cloud and requests the supply for the components necessary to produce spare parts, and then it receives the reply when those components can be produced, and again you have your transaction. We can also see some ties between the two EDI systems. It is a very important aspect today, because here, particularly in Belarus, which is very interesting, for many years the EDI systems has developed like in the form of ACP, and recently in Russia and in the Russian area, in CIS region, their own systems are being developed. I guess you're all aware of 1C and 1C corporate management systems. And those systems have their own clouds, and ACP and those companies that have ACP systems communicate among each other through Bubbleways and other providers and using 1C systems, but the standards are different. There was a question how the state can help further development of business, and as we heard on the previous examples, through standardization. If we see that all this goes through documents like sales orders, purchase orders, if the documents are standardized and if there are translations from one C language to SAP language and the other way around, then this network won't be only operational in the CIS region. It can connect to the global network, to all SAP enterprises, and can send the relevant sales and purchase orders there. So this is what I want to say about the operative business. All those data, production plant components, products in stock, orders, statistics, forecasts about the future sales are in that system, and those systems offer more and more instruments for management in order to show you, as of today, the components in stock, and would enable you to take business decisions aimed to develop your resources, etc., etc. Traceability, or monitoring of goods. It's a very huge topic, and we could spend days talking about it. I just took one example that already been implemented globally. We're talking about tracking of farms, and we know that in Russia they plan starting next year to track a number of commodities such as shoes, clothes, brand goods, etc. And it means that information about each individual goods, serialization and serial control of those products, are in the ERP system of the producer when it produces the goods, in the ERP system of the logistics company when it receives the goods and ensures its customs clearance. Electronically, all that data is handed over to the customs office through customs declaration, and they are electronically handed over to the importer, and so on through the wholesale companies to the retail companies and up to the final consumer of the goods. It has already been implemented in farm. There are international standards in place, how those codes look like, how they are entered into the ERP system. And this technology is going to be more and more widely used for all commodities and goods. That's the direction things are developing right now. And there is no place for policy here or any other political concerns. This is the reality, and because of that, there are no companies that conduct business activities or trades that could do without such ERP systems. And most importantly, those ERP systems that before were adopted only by big companies were quite expensive. Now they are implemented at the level of SMEs as well, and they are quite intelligent, smart systems. And I'll tell you a few words what smart means in this context. And ERP becomes omnipresent and at the core of business. Clients today more and more resort to online configuration of their order. On this example, you can see they can order a car, the inside equipment, the color. There are very few businesses where it is directly connected to the ERP system, but that's where things are developing. That's the direction things are developing. By pressing a button in the shopping basket, the client can place its individually configured order directly into the ERP order system of the producer and learn about the terms and time of delivery right away. This is near future. for companies, and in particular automobile companies are working on that, and very soon we expect it's going to be introduced elsewhere. The last thing I would like to draw attention to is the communication among staff and the information exchange for staff. Since the business is becoming more and more mobile and the working place becomes more and more virtual, mobile, multi-channel methods of communication among staff and managers with their data processing centers are implemented with the database, with their businesses. We've already have experiments or even developments in the area of voice recognition. Well, the way you do it in Yandex, when you put in the address by giving voice commands, and here you can ask questions regarding unpaid accounts by doing a voice order. For example, if you don't have internet in some remote area, but at least you have satellite communication there that's omnipresent, so, and it can do via a simple SMS for such cases when there is no internet connection, but you have mobile, not satellite, mobile communication. So, because mobile communication is almost everywhere now, and when companies try to penetrate the CIS market and we offer them the entire range of the solutions, we see that all those components are interesting to clients who penetrate the market, and you can't say that it's something in the future or in the past. This is already in place and has taken its dutiful place, rightful place. So also would like to say a few words how the state can promote this business digitalization, what we can observe and what our thoughts about it, and why we are actively working here in Belarus too. The biggest driver behind this IT digitalization is domestic economy and production. When companies come to this market and they have production and trade operations, they need those systems and they implement those systems. And most importantly, they are aware about it, they are ready for it, they're doing it, they invest and spend money on it. And the Internet of Things and the like create a space when it is not clear who and when is going to return, to ensure the return on those investments. And it translates into long-term plans, the real business when it's here. And in Belarus I visit a lot of forums here, the joint ventures companies that are set up in the free trade areas, they invest real money, a lot of money, into the implementation of those ERP systems. And by doing so, the money in the form of investments serve as a driver for further development of those products. Secondly, what is smart production? What is a smart system? The smartness is not in the system itself. The smartness belongs to the programmers, to the software developers, and for that we need smart IT experts. And Belarus has lots of them. And we've been working with a lot of IT companies, and this smartness, the brains needed to make the system fit for the relevant business is here, and they are developing, and it's a great thing. And thirdly, I know that the state can ensure standardization, but what we can observe, lastly, is the multi-language and multicultural approach to addressing different tasks. We have like 80 years of development of the Western economy and the style of planning and business operations. In the CIS, we have our own systems and mentality in certain areas. And in order to bring them together and for the world to become interconnected, will happen when the experts have the understanding of both the Western and Eastern business, 1C and ACP systems, and can communicate in different languages, German, Russian, English, and can create those systems in such a way that the global business that, and one of our last clients developed business in Russia and Kazakhstan, while the headquarters were stationed in Singapore. So you needed to have at least 3 languages here. And we needed an IT branch with such specialists. And I think in Belarus they have them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now, digital technologies in taxation. Evgenia Четверякова, Director General of PricewaterhouseCoopers. Good afternoon, dear participants and guests. My presentation is on. Today we talked a lot about the digital technology and digitalization, and we think of new products, new ways to attract businesses, and new ways and means to provide better services to businesses. And digital area, and we may not firstly think of the digital technologies in taxation, but since we all together, individually and our businesses are taxpayers, and these taxes are used to finance the public expenditures, this topic is no less important and interesting. The accountancy used to be kept in the books, in the logs, and then we received computers, but for many years we submitted our tax declarations in hard copies. Now we can do it electronically. Maybe later on we will not need to submit these hard copy tax declarations. Why we are talking about digital technologies in taxation, and what are the trends in the world in this sector? First of all, I must mention that digitalization in taxation does not exist individually in isolation. It is a part of the common process involving businesses, the data generation, data processing and exchange, and it also relates to the e-government, the interaction between agencies, government and authorities in different countries. In the taxation sector, there are actually 2 counterparties, taxpayers and tax authorities. Their interests may be different and are different. Tax authorities are interested in getting the maximum information available about taxpayers, their activities and operations, and in the view of the growth in the businesses, this information increases and it's more and more difficult to process it, but nonetheless the performance of tax authorities shall not decrease, and taxpayers are also interested on their turn in the effective processing of this data, particularly in the context of the geographical expansion, to be able to get the relevant information from different countries in the standardized format. And here we cannot but use the standard technologies of data transfer and automatization of all the processes, and the process of tax reporting cannot be isolated. This is obligatory an interaction with business. And in the result, we understand which implications or preconditions we have for digital taxation. The first bottleneck is the efficiency or effectiveness, like in many other sectors, effectiveness of these technologies. We are talking about the effectiveness of the technologies with the reference to the cost-benefit ratio. We want to get a better benefit for tax authorities, higher taxes, for businesses to get higher incomes, to expand and growth with the less expenditures and costs. For tax authorities, these are the costs for the receipt of data, and for payers, they are less costs for tax administration, their estimation, although the number of transactions increases. We are also talking about the expansion of the geographical span and the elimination of any barriers, frontiers, and about new forms of businesses that can cause some challenges for taxation. When tax authorities do not apply new technologies, and previously their main function was to regulate, to act as a regulator, to prevent any tax evasion, but through the use of digital technologies, without setting new barriers, then they can, with a high quality, process tax data of the companies and do not reduce the taxes collected and do not distract businesses from their development, their growth, and from running their business. What examples or technologies we can see in taxation in other countries? All these technologies can be split into three groups from the perspective of those goals and objectives they have. The conventional problem or the classical problem which used to exist and exists now, this is tax reduction or tax evasion. And to prevent this, there are the relevant systems used to their different cash points, cash devices, and they ensure the online exchange of data with tax authorities. The next block of systems is to prevent any fraud, VAT fraud, and this is the overestimation of taxes, and to prevent this, there are online systems of invoices. They are available in all the countries where all the sales are recorded in the ecosystem, and tax authorities can actually compare the expenditures borne by the company and where they were confirmed or not, and whether they were effective or not. And the use of this system actually helps to process the data faster and believe it as trustworthy or credible. And the third block of systems is those helping to run business. They are related to the regulation, introduction of some limitations or restrictions with regard to the cash on hand, and it relates to non-digital technologies in taxation, but taxation of digital economy, when tax authorities try to understand how new relations function and how they can withdraw taxes on the incomes received in this sector. Different countries apply different tools and instruments for those groups of systems, and they all generate the advantages and benefits. On this slide, you can see a few examples which evidence the effectiveness of the collection of taxes and data collection by different tax authorities, but in detail I would like to dwell on the examples in our neighboring countries. The first country I will speak about is the Russian Federation. I must admit that the Russian Federation is quite advanced in digital transformation of its tax authorities, and even in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The Russian Federation administers this digital transformation. This country applies a lot of interesting tools, but I would like to speak of only one of it, tax monitoring. Why we selected this tool? Simply because it demonstrates the maximum information, interaction and collaboration between a payer and a tax authority. This is a special form of tax control under which a taxpayer submits to the tax authority access to its information system, to the tax register, the first or initial reporting documents, and the tax authority can see and view without sending individual requests to the payer. It can work with the tax data and actually see the tax documents and books without distracting the payer from running his or her business. In addition, as part of the tax monitoring between a business, a taxpayer and the tax authority, there is a close collaboration which provides for receipt of the recent responses or explanations and clarifications to the tax authorities, and in the result, the companies that use this form of control are viewed as trustworthy and law-abiding taxpayers, and it impacts positively their reputation. But this form of control is not accessible to all the payers. Only large payers can use it because there are some requirements for their assets and the taxes paid by them. At present, in Russia, there are 45 companies of this type, but this number continuously increases. And the results or the benefits of the use of this tool is the reduction of different expenditures and costs. We see a reduction in the number of requests sent by tax authorities. To many extents, they can individually process the data without requesting the companies to provide some clarifications, and it results in the reduction of the costs for the contacts between the company and the taxpayer, and there is a 5-time increase in the document flow. Another neighboring country, which is quite similar to us in terms of the size occupied by the country, there is an intelligent system of tax administration. Potentially, it shall include 7 subcomponents. At present, not all of them function. The brief description you can read on the slide, but the general idea is to have the centralized online system for invoices, for transportation documents, a standard file for tax audit, and in the result, the Lithuania also has its result. Here you see the example of the VAT. And most importantly, it is important for any business, the reduction in the number of tax inspections. You can see the evolution from 2015, how they reduced and it applies to all the taxation checks and inspections. And when we compare 2015 to 2017 for different checks, we see that their number reduced from 9% to 37%. Belarus actually follows the same trend. We have our own tools applied, and on a continuous basis, new steps are undertaken. In 2011, there was a requirement to use cash stations, which prevent us from optimizing the results. This is the fight against the reduction of incomes and proceeds. At that moment, it was not a full-fledged system of control, but this year was the launch of that system, and it is still continuous. The gambling facilities were also involved, and now it is connected to the tax authorities, and there is an exchange of data with tax authorities. In 2012, we got a chance to submit e-declarations, which is quite convenient for payers. We may not remember it now, but it is time-saving, it is time saved, and it is an opportunity to expand the electronic communication with the tax authorities. Electronically, we can send our questions, our requests, and this way save the time. Since 2014, we can use the electronic waybills. So this is a system used not only by taxpayers but between the counterparties. This system, unfortunately, is not used widely, partly caused partly to some technical reasons or non-mobility of the payers themselves, because we are resistant to changes. In 2016, we got an electronic portal of invoices. Now, the tax authorities can use this to trace the goods, services and works board and those implemented, and by this way monitoring the tax exempts or tax deductions, VAT tax deductions, and to use this information for the transfer control, because in our context it is used to inform the tax authorities about those transactions with the subordinate entities. In 2018, the VAT was withdrawn electronically for those services provided by foreign companies to Belarusian individuals. Previously, it was not available because there was no appropriate regulation. We are not talking about the technology, but about the taxation applied to IT companies. And technologically, it was an important breakthrough of the adoption of the electronic services. And now, to sign a declaration, one can use the cloud digital signature, and the representatives of foreign companies should not come to Belarus to get the digital memory sticks. And quite probably in the near future, this will be possible and available to Belarusian payers as well. Belarus has undertaken these steps. Ahead, we have a number of other steps, and sometimes I see the information on the discussions to the transfer to XBRL format, the format of the submission of reports, which covers actually not only tax authorities and other stakeholders, but the submission of these reports to banks, and because of its transparency, it accelerates decision-making on different matters. The results obtained in Belarus after the deployment of the tools I told you about, we also saw a substantial reduction in the number of tax checks. In 2008 and 2015, there was a four-fold decrease, not only because of the introduction of new technologies in tax control system, but due to changes in the legislation regulating the taxation inspections and checks. But nonetheless, we also see a reduction in the checks and inspections. These inspections get more effective and efficient, and through these inspections, tax authorities inspect actually when they detect any clues of the need to inspect the pair. And if we compare the inspections in 2018 and the first part of 2019, there was an 89% decrease. And like in EU countries, we also observe a growth in the collection of VAT paid. It was abruptly realized or saw after the introduction of the system. Then there was a slight decline, but nonetheless the effect is in place. And this way we see that the taxation system, or tax sector is also a sector which requires digital technologies a lot. We see the global worldwide trends followed in Belarus as well. And I believe that the participation of both state authorities and taxpayers, when they involve in this process, both of them will improve their performance and eliminate some additional barriers and limitations and make their business effective by the use and through the use of technologies. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks a lot. And now let's talk about new threats generated by development of unmanned aviation vehicles, technologies for critical and sensitive infrastructure. The chairperson of the board of TerraHexen from Poland, Robert Fintact, will speak about this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say that I am absolutely honored to be here with such a distinguished and excellent speakers and guests. My name is Robert Fintact. I would like to welcome you as a president of TerraHexen, as well as a member of Polish Chamber of Unmanned Area Vehicles. And I'm here today to give you some facts about the development of drone technology, how this technology has impact on our life, daily life, and particularly what risk it may pose if it's used by irresponsible people. And at the end of my presentation, I will show you our unique solution to protect sensitive area. TerraHexen, after 3 years on the market, is one of the most professional and advanced companies in the center of Europe. We are a member not only Polish Chamber of Drones, the Drone Chamber, but also a business incubation center of European Space Agency. And personally, I am an advisor of in a drone safety regulation in Polish Aviation Institute. Our core business is finding and developing different kind of solutions to protect critical area against drones. Let me shortly tell you how it all began. About 6 years ago, in 2013, for the very first time, I saw this small, beautiful, autonomously flying machine landing on the water and starting from the water. And I asked owner, operator about features of this flying machine: length of flight, range, and time in air, battery, etc., etc. And he gave me all of the answers for all of my questions, and I was really surprised with the features of this small toy. Then I started asking myself how people will use this toy in a business. For what purpose? Will it change anything around us? And especially, is it still toy or something more? And of course, I heard about the military drones like Predator, Reaper, Global Hawk, or Cloud Shadow, if I remember. But a small drone, commercial drone with a really good camera for everyone to buy in a supermarket. 3 years later, during GTEC's Dubai technological affair, I saw this flying taxi. with an upload of 130 kilograms, autonomously flight. Just jump in, touch the screen, choose destination, and you can fly away. And I said to myself that this drone technology is awesome, it's amazing, and it's superb. And since that moment, I became a huge fan of the drones, and I started to observe development of these various excellent applications. What kind of application? Like smart farming, for example, and where you can have remote access to agro machines, of course, adjustment on the amount of fertilizers, adequate quantity of water, control monitoring of plantation, and drone can be used also in inspections with infrared camera, high voltage poles, roof moisture, solar panels, and also rescue missions in forests, in mountains, in tough terrain, at lakes, and firefighting sector, extinguishing at high altitudes, difficult environment, in poisonous steam, as well for us for auto maps, beautiful movies, pictures, landscapes, very popular right now in Poland to make beautiful pictures from the wedding and other events, media, press, entertainment, video surveillance, nano drones in medicine, forcing investigations, traffic control, observation of protests, for example, etc., and so on and so on and so on. And of course, please don't laugh, but it's a very, very serious situation, and to observe people on the roof in the, in the private situation. And I said to myself that the drone will change the whole world like internet has. And the drone, just like internet, will have two faces, bright and dark. And what do I mean by calling dark, dark? Let me explain. As a Terahexen, we bought a special service in a company, some company, that they monitors internet based on the keywords. And we asked them, okay, use these keywords like drone incident, drone accident, drone crash, drone attack. And honestly, a few years ago when we started, I received, and my team, one information, one news monthly. Now it's 10-20 daily. Today I received 16 new incidents, accidents, crashes or attacks by the drone. So based on all of these newses, I 100% sure, and my team and my colleagues, that the small commercial drone will be a huge danger for our surroundings. What makes drone so dangerous? It is features, because as you can see, it's low cost. It's a small, pretty good machine you can buy for $300 and maybe $1,000. A speed, 50 even to up to 70 kilometers. Lifting capacity, 0.5. Sometimes I saw during this fair a special drone, Matrix 600, that could lift up 6 kilograms. For example, battery could work for almost 30 minutes, sometimes 35. Satellite positioning, and as you see, the problem is also because this small drone is invisible for traditional radars. Why? Because it's made 80–95% of plastic. This brings me to the several real examples where the drone were used to commit crime. I would like you to look at this table full of the mobiles confiscated from the inmates in one of the Californian prison. And as you know, of course, the mobiles and other items is illegal in prison. And look at this video. and look at this video, you will see that delivery of such a forbidden items became a piece of cake. You see the drone, some hand, some stick with a package. It's so simple. Next example of misuse drone shows where security officers found small drone with a radioactive material at the roof of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. It was last year, I believe. Maybe that was a kind of revenge because of Fukushima. We don't know, but this is a real example. One more incident took place in Venezuela. President Maduro was attacked by the drones. Fortunately, he wasn't injured. But whoever this picture... Oh, wait a second. I can change. Okay. On this picture, you see that was a real attack in Yemen. 5 Yemeni officers was killed and 20 was wounded because some of the terrorists, they use a small commercial drone with the explosive materials. Another incident from the Balkans. During the match between Serbia and Albania, someone showed up with the small drone and rolled out a flag with a controversial sign. The sign Great Albania, where Kosovo is a part of Albania. So you will say nothing. So what is this? It's nothing. But look at this, what happened later and on this video. The drone caused a complete chaos. It was a huge, huge fight between players and also fans at the tribunes because of this small drone with this controversial sign. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I? This is not a real movie. This is a fictional series from BBC about medical rescuers. The video shows what may happen if the drone is misused with no bad intentions. And the last scene is very movable. And please look at this situation. Who did that? Just small boy. He just flew with the drone in an appropriate way and not this place that he can. Okay, now let's go back to the reality. Okay, can I, please?
The mystery surrounding unidentified drones over French atomic plants has deepened, with 5 more flights being recorded.
Here you could see unidentified drones flew over the atomic plants in France. That was more than 20 couple unidentified flights, and that was in 2016 and then in 2017.
On safety or their functioning. The drone sightings, however, could trigger fresh concerns.
Okay. Nothing happened, but the drone didn't do any harm, direct harm. Nevertheless, 4 months later, in one of the plants observed by the drones, it was on the map, a fire broke out, and you could see that. The fire broke out and triggered several explosions. Fortunately, the fire was immediately brought under control by the plant's response team. And we can't prove that the fire in atomic plant was directly caused by the drone, but this is coincidence, and it's surprisingly bizarre that 4 months later that could happen in one of these plants. Now, on these 4 pictures, we can prove and we can show you how ISIS used the drones, the small commercial drones in Syria. In the top right corner, you will see the small drone with this silicone or some glue tube that they put inside a small bomblet and flying over the target, and they moved a little bit with the drone and the bomb hitting the target, and you will see that on that short movie. And this is kind of a ammunition depot in Syria. For sure, some enemies of the ISIS, of the Daesh. Yeah, and this is chain reaction of this attack. To summarize, all of these examples of the drone misuse, we can firmly state that the drone can be used in trafficking, air collision, detonation, spraying biological and radioactive weapon, as well as be used in espionage. I tell you this short story, my private story. I talked with one person in Albania, in Tirana. He was in charge of the security of the embassies, and he told me privately, also off the record, that they find out on the roof of one of the embassy a small drone many months ago, that probably this small drone hacked the system, hacked the server, and sent the information somewhere. Another story is from my colleague. He runs a private detective agency in Poland, and he works with the divorces. And he said that 2-3 years ago, he spent 2-3 weeks, or maybe longer, to prepare a situation when he gets this final picture. And now, if he knows that they are in a hotel on some 22nd or 28th floor, he's just taking a drone, flying up and taking pictures, and then going for the cash, and divorce is done, and the case is closed. That is why we should consider drones as a real threat. And TerraHexen has been dealing with protection against drones since 2016. In cooperation with our engineers and our partners, we have developed a reliable solution for protection against drones. Our protection of our critical infrastructure strategy is based on the 5 pillars. First of all, initial audit of critical and sensitive infrastructure, then tagging zones, buildings, and sensitive elements of the infrastructure by the small chips like NFC, TAG, or GNSS, the sensors. Then it's implementation of the drone detection system, then the implementation of drone neutralization system. It could be different in the other different objects. And the last one, the last point, it's regular audits of these implemented solutions. And I am proud to present our unique product, Xcarius, a software which covers 3 of these points. And our product enables you to make an initial audit, a real audit, and then tag sensitive elements of this infrastructure and the buildings, and make regular audits to ensure that the system runs seamlessly. And it's worth to add that the Xcarius is the first software for auditing in the whole world. Additionally, the other 2 points are covered by our partners. This is a control sky system made by our APS team, our colleagues. And it's a detection and neutralization system based on the 4 sensors. The heart of the system is a unique radar based on the MIMO technology. And the second one is a vision sensor, then RF sensor, and the fourth one is a special beamforming microphone array. And as a complementary element, an automatic jammer that's blocking the signals like 2.4 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz, and other signals like GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, and Beidou. This is one of the examples where we delivered our system. This is a Norwegian airport, and now our system is in the Czech Republic. The Polish Czech, they're using that to control airspace, and also United Emirates Arabs. Yesterday, my colleagues signed a contract with the Estonia prison and another country, but of course I cannot talk because it's a part of the agreement. To recapitulate, I would like to emphasize that superb drone and amazing drone technology can offer brilliant possibilities, as well as pose deadly threat. I'm here also to help my Belarusian colleagues from Belarusian Drone Chamber to make a kind of rules, to help them establish these rules, because it's worth to add that Poland was the first country in the world which in 2014 we made a regulation how to use a commercial drones in a public space, and also who could be an operator, how to get the license, certificate, what they need. I mean some insurance, some research from the doctors, so whole package. And I'm here also in the close future to share with my Belarusian colleagues this information. And at the end, I think this is the last moment when you should start think about it seriously and be prepared for this phenomenal drone technology, but which can be also used by irresponsible or just bad guys. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And now let's talk about the role of telecommunications in digital economy. Andrei Nareyko, chairperson of the board, Belinfocom Association. Dear colleagues, today we have quite a serious summit. Although it is only the third one in sequence, but I believe this process is continuous, and I'm pleased to talk to you and share my views in a number of issues. Today we see how fast the digital economy develops, and in my view, only through the consolidation of our efforts we can reach the result we want. First of all, I want to say that today we are 32 in the world in terms of the fixed communication penetration, and in accordance to the estimates of the International Telecommunications Union, we are 24th among 160 countries in terms of the GDP penetration. Whether shall we stay still and do nothing ahead? No, I think no. But in terms of due to the fact of being beyond the gender, I would like to say the following. Today, association unites the largest mobile operators, and from the presentation made by Vladimir Sigismundovich, you can understand that mobile operator is not an operator anymore. This is a comprehensive, holistic ecosystem combining e-banking, medicine, and this process is progressing very fast. and expanding very fast. And to ensure the future growth and development of the modern technologies, we shall address those problems we saw before and start addressing new challenges to be able to decide the issues fast. With regard to the 5G technology development, for example, I believe we shall firstly address the challenge of the reduced capacity of the restricted frequencies for new technologies. This is a very slow process of conversion of radio frequencies, which is strictly regulated by military authorities. The second challenge to face is the legal regulation of the possible radio frequency neutrality. The radio frequencies are provided to the operators, but they can use only one technology. Today, this issue is debated, and we have contacts with the regulator, and I believe that we will come to the consensus in the near future. The next aspect to take into account is those decisions are to be made by the State Committee on Radio Frequencies with the identification of those frequencies to be used by the operator. We are taking the relevant actions, and I think we will get the result and will managed to address this challenge. But as I said previously, the mobile operator today is a set of services. Last year, we signed a memorandum, MOU, with the National Bank on the cooperation on the promotion of projects and initiatives in the banking sector and payment system. As part of this MOU, this provides for our work on the remote identification, development of payment systems, big data, artificial intelligence, and the development of the remote register, blockchain, and cybersecurity issues involved. In addition to that, in accordance with the decision of the Ministry of Communications and Informatization, we established a task force on the development of 5G technologies for the building of the digital society and the digital economy. And this environment aims to develop IoT, construction of smart cities, smart buildings, and since the largest fixed operator and mobile operators are members of our association, we shall report to the operator different scenarios or benefits of the implementation of this large-scale project. As part in this task force, we shall prepare the proposals on the use of the 5G network, make recommendations on those changes to be made to the legislation and laws for a faster and quicker implementation and penetration of 5G technologies in Belarus. So far, we had 2 meetings convened. At the end of April, there will be the 3rd meeting held, at which we will make a set of proposals to be addressed to the regulator. In addition to those issues mentioned by me, there will be the recommendations on the frequency resource, which is today possible for the allocation and implementation of this project. In order to, I wanted to say a few words about the legal regulation. To develop the technology today, we need to address a number of legal issues. In particular, the location of digital technologies in residential buildings. This challenge hasn't been addressed yet, but we have our own plan how to address it. We are supported by the parliament, by the regulator, and hopefully by making changes to the law on telecommunications, we can get the results needed. Besides, 5G technology is characterized by an increase in the number of base stations and the complicated electromagnetic situation, meaning that we need to change the sanitary standards and to restrict the sanitary zones of every base station. This is another dimension of our work to do. I already covered the issue of the technological neutrality. Then the placement and location in residential buildings in our neighboring countries, Ukraine and the Russian Federation. Ukraine has already adopted a relevant law, and we plan that the relevant decision will be made here as well. A few things or issues which we address and work on in the association, unfortunately, it takes years to solve them. This year, there was edict number 240 adopted on the payment for radio frequencies, but it took us 7 long years to design, endorse, and approve this edict by different public authorities, and after 7 years we got this result. Unfortunately, my view is that should we take these steps, we will not be able to implement the digital transformation. Therefore, I would like to appeal to all the present, for everyone to understand that to be able to develop in a faster pace, we shall take more radical and ambitious steps, and I appeal to the government, to the representatives of the association, and to every individual participant of the digital transformation taking place in our country. Thank you for your attention. Thanks a lot to all the participants. Now we are having a break. Afterwards, we will have sessions on cloud technologies, artificial intelligence, information protection, and the exhibition is on. So welcome to the exhibition, and thank you for your participation in this plenary session.